bad. Yeah.
It's never any fun not being able to go to sleep, just like it wasn't any fun watching Last of Us Season 2. So, in the show, Ellie still looks exactly the same, but is supposed to be 5 years older. Also, Ellie still acts exactly the same. So it really conflicts with what the character's supposed to be portrayed as here. Like most people, I liked the first season. I thought they did a great job.
Did HBO just replace Ellie without ever saying it out loud? It might sound dramatic, but when you look closely at everything that's unfolded since The Last of Us Season 2 dropped, that question stops being a theory and starts feeling like the truth, hiding in plain sight.
Season 2, I was skeptical on them not recasting Ellie and keeping Bella Ramsey as Ellie because it's supposed to take place 5 years into the future, but obviously Bella Ramsey in real life was not going to age that much in, the 2 years it took between seasons, because Ellie still looks and acts like a 14-year-old from Season 1, even though she's supposed to be 19.
Because this isn't just about one performance, or even one character. This is about one of HBO's biggest shows, falling from prestige darling to controversy magnet, and now maybe getting a full-on reboot without admitting it. Fans were already skeptical going into Season 2. The 5-year time jump, the darker themes, the expectation that Ellie would evolve into something more complex, more hardened, more layered. But the moment Season 2 hit screens, something just felt off. The internet noticed. Fast, instead of a stronger, older Ellie, we got more of the same. Same jokes, same mannerisms, same vibe. And the response? It wasn't just disappointment. It was digital chaos, review bombing, AI deepfakes, casting debates that dominated Reddit and TikTok, and buried underneath it all, the whisper that just wouldn't go away. Did HBO make a massive mistake keeping Bella Ramsey as Ellie?
Ellie just doesn't feel like she's changed. She still feels like that same kid from Season 1 who's just constantly joking and extremely immature. In the game, Ellie has a lot more grit. Ellie is also smart in the game. For some reason, they made the decision for The Last of Us Season 2 to make Ellie dumb, to the point where she even says that she's stupid.
Now here we are in 2025, and HBO has officially announced Season 3, but with a twist, a major narrative shift, a new lead emerging, production delayed for years, and quietly, Bella Ramsey's role being reduced. You're not imagining things. You're watching a high-stakes game of Hollywood chess. And today, we're breaking down every piece of it, because if this strategy fails, it won't just end Ellie's arc, it could sink the entire franchise.
Why? That just kind of betrays the character. Yeah, she's supposed to be like reckless and everything, but that doesn't mean that she's some like feels like the actual main character of Season 2, whereas Ellie just feels like the quirky sidekick constantly scrambling to make a quip. That it's all Bella Ramsey's acting's fault here for the lackluster season.
Season 2 was supposed to change everything. We were told to expect a darker, deeper chapter. A 5-year time jump that would show Ellie hardened by trauma, maturity, and guilt. In the game, that jump was a defining moment. Ellie becomes quieter, more calculating, and infinitely more haunted. But on screen, that shift never happened. From the first episode, viewers saw the problem. Bella Ramsey looked the same, sounded the same, moved the same. It felt like Ellie hadn't aged a day, let alone half a decade. And that disconnect hit fans like a gut punch.
And I don't really agree with that. I don't think this material would work even if they did recast Ellie for somebody else that could embody, the grit and the intimidation that Ellie had in the game.
Imagine following a character through heartbreak, rage, and loss, only to find them frozen in time. Same jokes, same sarcasm, same emotional tone. It was jarring. The illusion was broken. Viewers couldn't suspend disbelief because the show didn't let them. The emotional weight that was supposed to define this season? Gone. Instead of grief and grit, we got awkward banter and punchlines that felt like they belonged in Season 1. And that's where the trouble really began, because The Last of Us doesn't just survive on plot. It thrives on emotional devastation. It's supposed to break your heart, then make you thank it for the pain. That's what made the game iconic. And when Season 2 missed that tone, it didn't just fall flat, it fractured the entire experience. By Episode 3, fans were already sounding the alarm. They didn't see a grown, haunted Ellie. They saw a kid pretending to be tough. And once that illusion broke, everything started to unravel. Fast. The backlash didn't build slowly. It exploded like a firebomb. Within days of Season 2's premiere, the internet was flooded with side-by-side comparisons. Game Ellie versus Show Ellie. Fans weren't just disappointed, they were furious. TikToks went viral, breaking down Bella Ramsey's line delivery, facial expressions, even her posture. YouTube reactors weren't holding back. Entire essays dropped dissecting every awkward scene, every missed emotional beat. Then came the memes. Then the AI deepfakes. Yeah, people literally used artificial intelligence to fix the show by swapping Bella out with other actresses. Not just for fun, but to prove a point. To them, the performance was that far off the mark. That was the level of obsession, or maybe desperation, that started to swirl around Ellie's portrayal. Reddit threads turned into full-blown echo chambers with theories flying fast. Was it bad directing? A rushed production? Or was Bella Ramsey just the wrong fit for a legendary character that fans had lived with for nearly a decade? And it didn't stop at criticism. It turned personal. Every scene she appeared in was picked apart, frame by frame. Fans weren't watching the story anymore. They were dissecting the actor. And that kind of spotlight, it's savage, even for a seasoned pro. But here's the twist. The louder the backlash got, the more HBO stayed silent. No press statements, no public defense, no behind-the-scenes insights, just silence. And that silence spoke volumes. It felt like HBO wasn't just absorbing the hits, they were recalculating. And while the fans were rage posting and creators were debating what went wrong, something started happening behind closed doors. Ratings dipped, review bombs hit hard, and the most painful question of all started trending. Did HBO miscast Ellie from the very beginning? At first, it was just noise, angry fans venting online. But then the data started speaking, and it wasn't whispering. Season 2's audience score on Rotten Tomatoes didn't just dip, it fell off a cliff, from glowing highs in Season 1 to sinking below 70%. And it wasn't a fluke. Metacritic showed the same crash. This wasn't just one angry fandom lashing out, it was mass rejection. Page after page of user reviews hit like a tidal wave. 0 stars, savage takedowns, words like emotionally hollow, tone deaf, and betrayal started flooding the platforms. And it wasn't just the hardcore gamers who were angry anymore. Even casual viewers who had no connection to the source material were chiming in, saying something felt wrong. That's when it became clear. This wasn't your typical internet backlash. This was something deeper, something that could actually hurt the brand. Because here's what studios fear most. Not loud criticism, but viral disappointment. When frustration spreads fast, platforms like TikTok and YouTube don't just amplify the noise, they turn it into momentum. Algorithms push the drama, clips go viral, misinformation mixes with real concerns, and suddenly, a few bad scenes become the dominant narrative of an entire season. And that narrative? It had teeth. Some fans even started calling it the season that killed Ellie. Not because of the story, but because of the way the character felt stripped of her identity, watered down, directionless, and emotionally empty. That sentiment didn't stay on Reddit. It bled into headlines, forums, review sections, and comment threads. By now, HBO was watching the numbers dip. Engagement stalled. Merch sales slowed. Even their most loyal audience started drifting away. And that's when execs went into full panic mode. Behind closed doors, the pressure hit like a bomb. Reports began leaking that early screening reactions from HBO execs were tense. Meetings ran long. Notes were harsh. The internal vibe wasn't just concern, it was damage control. Because what they saw on screen wasn't just a creative misstep, it was a franchise at risk. Insiders say things escalated fast. Writers clashed. Directors pushed back. Some creative leads reportedly argued that Ellie's arc could still be saved, with the right editing, with some reshoots, with maybe a stronger arc in Season 3. But others? They weren't so hopeful. One phrase kept coming up in internal chatter: miscast. Not publicly, of course, but internally, the word was becoming hard to avoid. And once it's said out loud in the studio system, even once, the snowball starts rolling. Then came the rumors, and they weren't quiet. The first major whisper? That HBO was considering canceling Season 3 entirely, just pulling the plug before production even started. No press release, no grand finale, just silence. Vanish the trailers, make the hype go away, let the fire burn itself out. And honestly, fans believed it, because HBO was silent for months. No updates, no casting news, not even the usual PR fluff about exploring new directions. That vacuum gave fans one thing: space to speculate, and speculate they did. Reddit was flooded flooded with leaks, some real, some obviously fake, about scenes being scrapped, scripts being rewritten, even alternate endings being discussed to completely reset the show's direction. Theories started to stack. Had Bella Ramsey already been replaced? Was Ellie going to be sidelined in Season 3? Were they writing her out, slowly and silently, before the outrage could flare up again? It wasn't just speculation anymore. It felt strategic, and that's what made the silence so loud. Because when HBO finally spoke up, it wasn't with an apology. It was with a pivot, a sharp one. But we'll get to that in the next section. Just when everyone thought HBO was out, they made a move no one saw coming. In April 2025, HBO officially renewed The Last of Us for Season 3. No cryptic teasers, no in-development PR spin. It was loud, direct, and almost defiant. After months of radio silence and a firestorm of backlash, they pulled the trigger on a full-season commitment. But here's where it gets weird. Alongside the renewal, co-creators Craig Mazin and Neil Druckmann dropped something fans weren't ready for: a shift in structure. Season 3, they said, would dive deeper into Abby's story. It wouldn't just be a subplot, it would be a full-blown dual narrative. The emotional center of the show suddenly split in two. Fans instantly started reading between the lines. This didn't feel like an artistic evolution. It felt like a calculated pivot, a quiet strategy to rebuild the show around a new lead without lighting another match under the fandom. Because Abby? She's complicated, divisive, intense. Everything Ellie used to be before things got muddled. By splitting the story, HBO found a way to shift the spotlight without announcing a replacement. It's not a recast, it's a redirection, a soft reboot disguised as character development. And honestly, it's smart. They get to preserve the legacy of Ellie while slowly building up a new emotional anchor, one that doesn't carry the same weight of controversy. Abby gives them a fresh canvas. New trauma, new stakes, a new lead to lean on if things with Bella Ramsey continue to spiral. But don't get it twisted. This wasn't just about telling Abby's story. It was about damage control. Because while the headlines celebrated the renewal, the real story was unfolding quietly behind the scenes. And Bella Ramsey was right in the middle of it. While fans were decoding the Abby announcement, Bella Ramsey finally broke her silence. No dramatic tweets, no interviews dripping with resentment, just one calm sit-down, and a few words that said everything. She confirmed what many were already suspecting. Her role in Season 3 might be reduced. No denial, no spin, just honesty. And that honesty hit harder than any headline. Because if HBO was still fully backing her as the emotional center of the show, that conversation wouldn't even be happening. You don't reduce your main character unless something's shifting behind the curtain. And fans noticed. Some saw her response as a quiet acknowledgement that HBO had lost faith, not just in her, but in the character's direction. Others thought she was stepping aside gracefully, letting the spotlight move toward Abby without making it a spectacle. Either way, the message was clear. The show was changing. But here's the twist. Bella didn't break. She didn't lash out. No passive-aggressive jabs, no throwing shade at the studio, just professionalism. That kind of response, it speaks volumes. Because even though she was the face of the backlash, she didn't fuel it. She didn't fight it. She just let the audience connect the dots themselves. And they did. The fandom, already on high alert, took her quiet tone as confirmation. The theories started solidifying. Bella wasn't just stepping back. She was being phased out, slowly, silently, strategically, all while HBO rolled out a new character to carry the emotional load. Now, here's where things get chilling. None of this was said outright. No official announcements, no press statements, just shifts in tone, in focus, in narrative structure. HBO didn't fight the backlash. They absorbed it, rerouted it, and quietly rewrote the show's DNA. And Bella? She stayed calm, knowing exactly what was happening, and saying just enough to let fans feel it. So now that Season 3 is confirmed, you'd think HBO would ride the momentum, right? Drop casting announcements, leak concept art, maybe start filming within the year, but instead, everything went quiet again. Then came the real kicker. Production wouldn't even begin until sometime in 2026, with new episodes not expected until late 2026, or even early 2027. That's not a delay, that's a deliberate pause. And don't buy the PR spin. HBO might say it's about scheduling or post-strike recovery, but if you've been paying attention, you know what this really is. A total reset. Because this isn't just about logistics, it's about optics, it's about breathing room. HBO is stalling for time to rewrite scripts, renegotiate actor deals, build out new characters, and most importantly, figure out how to move away from Ellie without admitting they ever never had to. Every extra month, that's a chance to test new angles, tweak character arcs, and reframe the show's tone. Even the narrative structure, that dual perspective storyline that suddenly showed up, it's not just about staying faithful to the game, it's about dividing audience focus, so Bella Ramsey doesn't have to carry the emotional weight anymore. And here's the sneaky part. By waiting 2 years, HBO gives fans time to cool off, time to forget, time to get curious again. And when the new season drops, it won't feel like a course correction. It'll feel like evolution. But behind that sleek rollout, you'll see the real strategy, quietly pivoting the franchise, reshaping its future, and pushing Abby into the spotlight just far enough to make people stop asking questions about Ellie. And in case you're still wondering how far this pivot goes, well, buckle up. This isn't just a shift, it's a risk, and HBO knows it. If Abby connects, if her arc lands the way they hope, The Last of Us gets reborn. A fresh lead, a deeper story, a clean slate without ever saying, "We recast Ellie." They win the narrative, dodge the backlash, and walk away looking smart. But if Abby fails, then HBO's entire play collapses. Because without Ellie at the center, and without fan support behind the new lead, the franchise becomes untethered. There's no emotional anchor, no familiar thread, just noise. And behind the scenes, the whispers are already starting. Insiders say new characters are being developed, not just to expand the world, but to dilute the Ellie focus even further. That means screen time will shrink. That means fewer plot-driving moments for Bella. That means a main character becoming a side note. And here's the genius of it. HBO won't need to say anything. They'll just do it. No press release, no creative difference excuse. Just one slow narrative shift until fans look around and realize Ellie's not the heart of the story anymore. Some will say it's smart. Some will say it's betrayal, but everyone will feel it. Now, fast forward a few years. If Abby works, she becomes the new face. If she doesn't, HBO fades the show out quietly, blames changing audience interest, and moves on to the next big thing. Either way, they'll never admit Season 2 was the problem, because they already started fixing it in secret. This isn't just creative direction, this is brand protection. And Bella Ramsey, whether you liked her or not, she became the face of a problem HBO didn't know how to solve. So they didn't fire her, they just pivoted around her. In the end, this story was never just about one performance. It was about how fast a fandom can turn, how far a studio will go to protect its investment, and how easy it is to rewrite the future without ever owning the past. Because The Last of Us isn't gone, but the version you knew, that might already be gone. So now we're left with the question that started it all. Did HBO just replace Ellie without saying it? They won't tell us. Bella won't admit it. And fans? They're stuck piecing together a puzzle made of whispers, rumors, and shifting screen time. But one thing is clear. The game has changed. And if Season 3 doesn't land exactly right, this risk could turn into game over. For Ellie, for Abby, and for The Last of Us as a whole. If you want to keep digging into this saga, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that bell, because the next twist might drop without warning.